Hello, yo! All right, and that was, so chat, you're going to have to keep me honest.
Oh.
Mute your thing, dude. Tell me if that's too loud. Too loud. Chris, can you hear us? Chris, can you hear us? No sound.
I just heard it.
Yeah, we heard it on there. Chris, what are you doing? Yo, everyone's okay.
Chris, unmute your speakers.
Chat people watching on YouTube, on the internet, let me know. It says it sounds fine, so we're not clipping. It's not. All right, mute your phones if you're going to live stream on your phone in here. All right, everyone says good. Just let us scream at us in the chat like you always do if there are issues, and we'll figure it out. We do have a live audience. Yay!
The price is right.
John, come up here real quick. We're gonna do something really weird, and this could break everything. So, hey, very slowly. It's gonna be blurry, but just kind of pick up this lightly. The camera. No, not go around. Just pick it up by the legs, and just slowly, just pan it around so people can see. Just be very careful. No pressure. Yay! Yay!
I am available.
We have people.
There's a live audience.
There is a live audience. All right, so there are people in the room. We'll hear it on the. We'll be talking to folks in the room. This is going to be complete chaos. I have zero plan right now, so we're just winging it.
With all this
gear,
he had no plan.
Thank you, John.
No problem.
That looks awesome. You did it. Good job, John.
Woo!
All right, here's my beer. Are we cracking beers?
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
All right, let's crack
That
beer.
one's not very
So we don't have enough for everyone in the room. I do apologize, but we are actually getting a beverage of choice.
I don't drink.
So
Nobody believed that.
In public.
So we are live, coming live from the Microsoft, well, not the Power Platform Conference here in Orlando, Florida. No one cares about that. All right, there we go. Good job. Thomas said, or Matt said, we're all in Patrick's basement right now.
It's a very nice basement. Have you been there?
Not to the new basement.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, Chewy, it's not Dos Equis. This is Puppers.
Golden Lager.
This is Puppers, provided by our good friend John White. So if you're a Letterkenny fan, this is the beverage.
All right.
It's amazing.
We're gonna do questions.
All right. Let's. I'm also.
I
Yeah.
thought we were just here to drink a beer, man.
All right. So first off, I wanted to let's get Patrick's and Jason's thoughts. Conference so far. What do you think? What's been going on?
It's bananas.
It's bananas. That's
It was
it.
bananas.
That's
It's
it.
bananas. This is our first time back since COVID started. This is our first at least my first American conference, and to meet, I've met. I think in the first 2 days I've been here, I probably met 500 people. I'm not kidding you. I've shake so many hands, took so many selfies, and I got chills right now, and if I stop, I'm gonna start crying. So.
What about you, Jason?
It's been good. There's a lot of people here.
Yes.
There are a lot of people.
I tried to get into your session yesterday, and there was a log jam of humanity. Like at a certain point, I just sort of stood back and went, "I'm just not going there."
So what happened yesterday? So let me tell you the story of we had a 25-minute session yesterday. It was Path to Success, like 3 best practices for Power BI, and before the session, we're in the speaker room.
It was awful.
Or we're in some room like nearby the room.
Lunchroom.
And we had the first demo was talking about query folding, right? And so Patrick tells me, he's like, dude, I created this whole new demo.
Beautiful.
Brand new demo last night. You need to go download it. And I'm like, all right, send me the link. And that took about 10 minutes. So I download the Power BI desktop file. It's called broken.pbix. Oh, it gets better. So I download the desktop file. We're both on our Microsoft machines. And so I open the Power BI desktop file, and it gives me the glorious error of, we're sorry, the sensitivity label is preventing you from opening this Power BI desktop file. And I'm like, dude, you're like spot on with the file name. It's broken.
Truth in advertising.
So Patrick's like, all right, let me go open it on my machine. I created it there. We'll get it there and I'll get it back. Or I'll take the sensitivity label off and send it. So he opens it on his machine. He gets the same error. His sensitivity label is so he's like, what do we do? And we've got 15 minutes before the session. I'm thinking we're going to be allowed into the room 15 minutes beforehand. And it's like right next door. So I'm like, hang on, let me go run over real quick and see if they're over the session before us. We can go in. I go over, I'm like, no, they got 5 more minutes. There's only a 10-minute spot between. We got 5 minutes. He's like, hang on. We recreated that demo 5 minutes before going into the room. We come out of the room, we're done. We're going, all right, we got to go into the room. And there's like people, like a sea of people, a wall of people right there.
That's great.
We couldn't even get into our own session. I'm like, oh, this is not good. So, oh no. All right, they're seeing the intro now on the live stream. The countdown was still going. Apologies for that. Hang on. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. That was I'm doing this off my laptop. This is not my home professional. So we recreated the entire Power Query demo like 5 minutes before the session going live because we're professionals. Yeah. And then we had a log jam trying to get into. We only got up to the stage about 5 minutes because we had to get through the sea of people, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of. I stood in the back of the room for a few minutes because I finally got into the room. John and I did a workshop on Monday, and it was completely filled. Like every seat was filled, and then we did a session today that, like, I tweeted pictures. It was crazy. How many of you were there? See, I brought all the people.
You did brought the people. Jason brought
I made
the
a
people.
slide. John didn't make the slide. I made the slide. John usually makes our slides. So yeah, it was a lot of. We had a good time.
Yeah.
It was good. It's good to be back.
So and then we did a Synapse session earlier today.
Yes.
Someone came up to me afterwards. Someone at Microsoft came up. Was like, hey, I need to. Actually, it was Scott Sewell. He came up to me. He's like, dude, I need to borrow your slides. I'm like, it was about 10 minutes before the session. We had slides put together, and then we're like, no, we found this other like internal marketing site. Alex helped us out, and so we just Control-A deleted all the slides in our deck. This is again 10 minutes before we're going live on stage, and we just copied in these new slides and ran with it.
They're great slides.
They were good. They were better slides than what we had.
Now,
so we went with that.
To be fair, you got this session. To be fair,
on Saturday.
On Saturday
we
at
got the
3
session.
p.m.
Yeah.
Jason pulled
us all in.
Ab and I got on a call with Heather Newman. It's like, oh, which one of you can deliver a session? Because Powell, unfortunately, if you're watching, we miss you. We wish you were here. He got stuck in Poland. His flight got canceled. And so they're like, who could deliver a session on Synapse? And like, yeah.
So DC in the chat's asking, please tell me that session was recorded. None of the sessions here were recorded.
Nope.
None of the sessions are recorded.
Except for our friend in the front row that had her iPad going, recording the whole thing in full HD glory.
Full deniability on that one.
None of the sessions are recorded.
They were not
I did
recorded.
Not know that.
They were not recorded.
Yeah.
You had to pay to come.
Yeah. All right.
We'll do it again, though.
So we do
I'm
some
sure
questions. Are we going to do some questions?
I know there were people putting questions in the chat on the live stream, and
let's go with the audience.
I know we're gonna go with the audience.
Steve's going to handle.
But we do have a YouTube audience here as well. So and Steve's not doing anything right now.
Yeah. See. Oh,
Wait,
see. They want to ask questions.
No, I know we're gonna do that. Simmer down. I just want to acknowledge that we have like 100, almost. Well, it was a little over 100 people on YouTube right now watching as well. And so, simmer down. Just shh. Wait.
There we go.
Do what?
Let's get at her.
Okay. So wait. So how many people in here have watched our Saturday morning live streams?
Oh, okay.
All right, good. So there's a rhythm and some order to that live stream where we tell people to put Q: in front of their questions. We get them queued up. Spamming the chat will get you put in a timeout if for everyone, or people will be there to put you in a timeout except for Patrick.
Patrick never does.
So for the folks putting Q: in the chat right now on YouTube, there is no Q. so anyone that put a question in the chat, it is long gone and will not be recovered. So with that, anyone in the room have a question? We'll put stuff in the chat, folks on YouTube. We'll get it in the moment. So anyone, yeah.
So I noticed when you connect to SharePoint through Power BI that I know the
there's two different versions of API, version 1, version 2. In your session you were mentioning.
Yeah, he said don't use 2.0, use 1.0 for the SharePoint
I
list.
guess, and this is not meant to be harsh or anything, but like, what's 2 for then?
So,
So we got to repeat the question.
So the question was there are two versions of the SharePoint SharePoint Online connector. In our session that John and I did, we specifically, for the demo stuff that we were doing, told you use the V1 connector versus the V2 connector. Why is that? Why bother having a V2 connector if we tell you to use the V1? Now, the reason for that is because all of the helper functions that we were talking about are in the V1 connector and they are not in the V2 connector. The V2 connector is there for like the speed type of stuff that they're doing right now. So if you go visualize in Power BI from a SharePoint list, all of that stuff is optimized for speed at this point and is not, none of that leverages the V1 connector's helper functions because you don't get access to any of that type of stuff in the visualize in Power BI function, right? So that's why there's, you know, it is my supposition. I'm making a little bit of intuition on this, but that's why there are two different connectors.
Is the plan to take one up to 2?
I'd love
Yes,
to know.
Jason,
I'd love to know that the answer to that question. I don't have an answer to that.
My vote is to use the 3.0 version.
Because it's 1 plus 2.
That would be beautiful. Man, look at you.
You get both. You get
haven't
both.
even cracked your beer yet. And
I
you're
don't
on.
drink. I
You're
don't
on.
drink.
I'm telling you.
I don't drink.
All right, so we got a super chat.
Oh, I get it. 1, 2,
Oh, all right, we'll go with that
There you
too.
go. I like it.
That deserves a drink.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Maybe. Ooh, I've got a better idea. We can have a drinking game,
It depends.
and it depends drinking game.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so first off, we got 2 super chats in the chat. One of them is a little awkward because it's from someone in the room. So Mr. Alex Powers in the back. Patrick, what integer range does int8 type have?
0 to 255.
Ah!
Negative 127 to 1. Yeah.
You're right-ish.
Yeah. Negative 127.
Ish.
It depends.
It does not depend.
Oh, okay,
It's
just
a finite. Numbers don't lie. People do.
Did you bring a stack of ones with you, by the way? Did you bring a stack?
Did not bring a stack of ones.
All right, and Mr. Chris I almost said Chris Finley. Oh my
You
God.
kind of did.
Chris Wagner. Sorry, Chris.
It's a good thing this
Wrong
isn't
Chris.
recorded.
Yes. Chris Wagner coming in with a super chat also. So is Q: number one reason to be sorry for not attending the Power Platform Conference. I agree. You should be here.
What's
So-
the number one reason?
Is it that the live
he
stream's
said
frozen?
number one reason.
Oh,
Is the live stream frozen? Because that kind of looks like a live stream.
Oh, did it freeze?
that's
Video
okay.
freeze for others.
Yeah,
Question?
it froze.
Can you still hear us in the? Oh,
See, I
Bob.
told you should have used the Wi-Fi. Let's
The
just
number one
Keep
reason
going, keep going.
is the really good internet. We've had the best internet, all the best internets.
Can people hear? Okay, so next question.
yeah.
Someone.
next one. Oh, she's okay.
Okay.
Someone who has no idea who you are, has never seen the video, can you tell me something?
So repeat the question.
Yeah. So the question is for people who have never seen you before and have no idea what this is all about. Can you tell us what this is all about and who you are and things like that?
Well, first off, welcome.
They usually say that at the very beginning of every live stream. By the way, they usually do a welcome, but you know.
She's new. Hashtag new.
Yeah. Oh.
Hashtag new. So
He didn't. We didn't.
I didn't do the hash. I'm really like a little. I am not in my my
So-
best moment here.
So Adam started this many moons ago. Guy in the Cube YouTube channel. He used to work in support, and he had all this stuff that he said the world should know about. So he started recording videos. And 18 to 24 months into it, he and I started hanging out, going to conferences, and he's like, "You should do it with me." And I'm like, "Nope, not doing that. Not doing videos." And he convinced me, and we started doing YouTube videos. We've been doing. At one point we were doing 4 videos a week, but we do 3 videos a week. 1 on data, 2 on Power BI, just solely Power BI videos. And we got about 280,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Every Saturday morning, except for this Saturday. We do a live stream. It's an hour, and anyone can just come and ask questions, kind of like what we were trying to do here, but Adam's having some technical
What time
difficulties.
Saturday?
It's 10:30
9:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 a.m.
Eastern.
Eastern. It will not be this coming Saturday.
And we've been doing that for about 7 total years now.
So what's happening right now, because we don't have video, is more like the Bifocal podcast, though. Just so you know, I am far more comfortable in this format.
And if you notice, both of us are kind of stiff, like, what is going on? Where's the video? But anyway, so that's what we do.
I mean, technically the camera is working.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling.
Yeah,
Next question.
Keep going. Next question.
Yep.
I don't have a car back, but I have a question. How have you not been sued by Lego yet?
How
have we not been sued by Lego yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never asked, and no one's ever contacted me. So thanks for putting that out on YouTube. So the question was, how have we not been sued by Lego yet?
Yeah.
They don't have Power BI.
They actually do.
Yeah, I was going to say.
At
Right
Legoland
now, at
going on right
Legoland.
now. There's a conference going on at Legoland. Power BI next step. Yep.
Yeah.
I think your image is probably generic enough because it doesn't actually say Lego on it.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Yeah.
All right.
And if it did, they'd probably spell it wrong with like the lowercase CGO and put a plural or something on there. But
Legos. All right.
What's your favorite visualization?
What
Pie
is our
chart.
favorite visualization?
Pie chart.
That's
Pie chart.
How many people love the pie chart?
Pie chart.
All right, question for everyone. Well, this is going to be weird. So by a show of hands, hands equals yes. No hands means no.
That's difficult.
By a show of hands, is it okay to use a pie chart?
If you know what you're doing.
Pie without the chart.
Really?
I like
It
pie.
depends.
Oh, Belinda coming in with the super.
It depends.
The dollar with
It
the bow tie.
depends.
That's impressive, and it's floating away now.
Kevin, I thought you, Kevin on YouTube, I wish you could have seen Belinda walk up and give us $1 for it depends.
So, yeah, it depends. I don't know. I don't do visualizations. I don't do much with visualizations.
I like the decomposition tree.
I love that one.
Adam?
Second favorite is the fish tank visual because I actually saw, thanks to Mr. Alex Powers and another colleague of ours, saw a real world, actual good use of that. So,
Did you know you can make a fish go belly up?
Yes. Negative numbers.
Make it a number negative. The fish goes belly up. What about you, Adam? What's your favorite visual?
The aquarium visual.
The aquarium visual.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
What new feature are you looking forward to most that's coming out?
Hey, I got the camera working again.
Oh,
Visual calcs. Visual calcs. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. Jason.
I'm excited about the SharePoint and OneDrive integration that's coming. Yeah. Hey, it was supposed to be here this month. You know, it's in the roadmap. I looked at Alex's aka.ms PBI roadmap, right? Release plan. I was PBI release plan, and it's in there, but it's not in the release notes this month. I'm waiting.
The ability to build data models in the web.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Thank you.
Sorry, you took too long. I was waiting for
I know.
you. Sorry, you took too long.
So I'm going to go with the best feature is going to be the SharePoint connector getting v3.0. It is not on the roadmap, by the way.
No, but you think about it, right? Anyone
Yeah,
will
the
be
web.
able to create.
How many
data
people
models.
use a Mac?
Nobody's gonna.
I'm proud of you.
A few
I'm
hands
proud of all
were
of
brave
you.
souls.
But now you'll be able to create
how many
Power BI data
how many-
models
hey,
without.
if you in the chat, if you're using a Mac, put hashtag Mac in the chat if you want to be brave also. It's
Go
fine.
ahead.
It's all right.
There is a question
Yeah.
in the
Oh.
queue in the chat.
Look at you.
Leslie Welch.
I don't see it, but
Hold it. Leslie's here. She's in the back of the room. I love it. But
Go for
Leslie's
it.
here.
Go
so.
for it, Leslie.
all right. So for those that couldn't hear it in the room, and obviously the chat didn't hear that, I'm going to also read the question that you put in YouTube. I actually appreciate you put it in the chat. So the question was, if someone is trying to create reports that multiple developers can work on at the same time, what do you recommend? Currently 3 separate reports with bookmarks, but the content is lost. So you want to merge them together? between the developer. Okay, so you're talking about the end users, but you said they're trying to create reports, so that means an author context, not an end user.
Oh, sorry. There's two things that need to both exist. For the developers, they need to be able to work on it at the same time.
Okay.
For the end users, they need to be able to interact with the resource.
Okay, so there's a couple things. So the developers need to be able to work on the same report at the same time. Which is, yeah. So there's 3 different reports in this question, in play. And then also the users, when they click around like on slicers or whatever, that context needs to flow between the 3 reports? Okay. So the first part in terms of developers working on the same report at the same time, right now is you can't do that. Yeah, so it's SharePoint is your friend, check in, check out, one person at a time. And then they can all go in and talk to each other and be nice and say, hey, I'm in there now. Get out. For the context between reports, this came up in there was somewhere else that this came up.
It was a question, one of our member questions.
It was a member question.
Yeah.
Yes. And it depends. So oh yeah, sorry.
So I don't drink.
I'm gonna regret that. So the by default, out of the box, the reports aren't they're independent of one another, right? So they're not gonna talk to each other, and you can't transfer between it. Now, you could do cross-report drill, which could pass filters along with it. I will tell you that gets janky very quickly.
Ooh, janky, what a technical word.
That was impressive.
So the models have to all be the same for those reports. So you can't have different models. Like the schema's got to be identical because that's the filter's got to pass. The schema's got to be the same.
What you're passing through needs to be the same.
Right, right. And then, but that requires you to be using drill down or drill through.
Drill through.
Which if you're not using, the other way you could do it potentially is like with buttons of some kind, where you could auto-generate a URL that includes the filter, and then when they click on the button, the action goes to the URL, which could take them to the other report. So they could slice and filter, and then it goes to the other report.
Brilliant.
But
again, the user experience on that is, it may not be ideal for what you're looking for, but it's the option that you have.
Yep.
Can you have multiple people developing a data mart at the same time?
People developing a data
Yes.
No.
The data model?
Mart. Data
Oh,
mart.
data mart. No, I heard data model. I got excited. Data mart? No.
you can have multiple authors, but you can't at the same time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I think he was first. Yeah.
So, being here at the conference, I've talked to several people that said, really passionate about Power Apps, really passionate about Power Platform, hadn't done hardly anything with Power BI.
Yeah.
So the main reason they haven't really dealt with it is they don't really know what data to start with. So what would you recommend to somebody that's just starting out with Power BI, doesn't have a ton of data to really work with, but wants enough to be able to kind of work with it, so it's not just like 2 lines of data with 2 columns?
Good question. So the question was, if you're just starting out with Power BI, how do you get like a real data set to work on to learn Power BI instead of just like 2 rows of data? Like that's not very useful. So you can build calculations.
What do you do? What do you do? What? Well, not really. I'm talking about real data. So if I was out, like I used to work at an advertising company, right? And I worked in the IT department, but there were different departments in the IT. In the advertising company. I mean, what questions, what challenges, are they facing, with their data? And that's the data I would use. I wouldn't use AdventureWorks. I wouldn't use Contoso.
Why? So Kevin in the chat said Contoso also. Why wouldn't you use that?
For what? I don't know anything about retail.
I've got a different answer.
Right?
I'm sitting here, so.
I want it to be relevant. I think that's where you're going, right? I want it to be relevant. So if I work in advertising, I'm going to build something that's relevant to advertising.
I want Jason to answer this.
Okay, I'll let him answer it.
Do you have, there's this new technology that Microsoft came out with called Excel.
Oh, geez.
Do you have any Excel files that you know the data of? I'm still not quite sure. I've heard it different ways. So sometimes there's an X on the end of it. It's just kind of so. Most everybody has an Excel file that they are really familiar with, and even if you don't, like, it's something you can create fairly easily. It's a great way to get started. It's a simple. You don't have to pull in a million rows. So it's some place to start. If you're really just trying to get started learning how to do visuals, how to do things, it's a way to go, and you can absolutely do that regardless of whatever Patrick has to say next.
Why would I open Excel and enter data? If I work for a company, some data somewhere. There's some data somewhere.
That was how I started that, right?
But you said enter data, though.
Like as a last resort.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I started with you have data somewhere in your organization that's probably in Excel that you know.
All right. Sorry, I missed that part.
To the Excel point, put it in SharePoint or OneDrive.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Keep it on an online source. Don't put it on the desktop. As soon as
Correct. So the statement for those of you online was, when you have that Excel file, go put it in an online source such as SharePoint or OneDrive, so you can connect to it there. Because then you can do data refresh at that point, and you can learn data refresh, preferably a SharePoint document library as opposed to OneDrive. Like, go that way, because then you can play with data refresh and get to learn that as well. And if you're playing with Pro, you get 8 times per day that you can go off and schedule and do all that type of stuff.
Somebody told us that OneDrive is the same as SharePoint.
Correct. However, as we demonstrated for you earlier, and the statement was OneDrive is the same as SharePoint. It is. However, there is a specific OneDrive refresh functionality, which we also told you about, which refreshes once an hour, and you don't get control over that. So. Yeah.
Someone in the chat said, use your bank statement.
Make sure you put it in a publicly accessible, internet accessible place, including all routing numbers, please, and send it directly to me. Yeah.
Let's move on.
So I have kind of the opposite problem. I'm the only IT person at work. And,
wow.
Kind of along your lines, I just went to HR one day and just said, your Excel chart is gross. I'm going to fix this for you. And, it is a spreadsheet, but that's all they'll give me. So
no, that's okay.
It is what it is. But typically my workflow is like, I'll just start a new Power BI, and when I find something new, and I'll get it working and running, but like, I know that you can just go to Advanced Editor and grab the query and move it over to like a more production one, but how do you move like measures and columns and stuff like that? Is there like an easy way to basically mush two PBI axes together?
There is. ALM toolkit.
So can you repeat the question?
I cannot. I'm just kidding. I love you, man.
I'm just trying. So it's your audience, dude.
So you have
he's like, it's all you, man.
You have two models.
I'm very pretty, though. Look how
you have two models,
no,
and you want to take the measures and move all the measures and calculated columns to that measure. So there's a couple of things you can do. If you have, there's a tool called Tabular Editor 3. Okay, there's a free version, there's a paid version. If you get the paid version, Tabular Editor 3, you can actually script all the DAX out of it, right? Every calculated column, every measure, all of it, and then you connect to the other Power BI desktop, run that script, all your measures will move. Or you can use ALM Toolkit, which is free, and ALM, Alpha, Larry, Mary, Toolkit, and then you can connect to both of them. It'll give you a diff of what's the difference between the two, and you can actually push it to the other one.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wait. I'm going to grab, there was a question in the chat I'm going to grab because it's going to be pretty quick. So the question is there a pipeline that supports Power Platform apps to be migrated across environments? I don't know because we're Power BI people.
Oh, do you know that?
All right, so the audience is crowdsourcing, saying they announced it in the keynote yesterday, today. So Power Platform pipelines. Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing it. So.
Already dropped something into GA that lets you add Power BI into solutions. So if you're already
Okay.
That was on the blog today.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Arthi, the question is, I don't know, and there's probably going to be a blog post out there that's going to help you. So, be on the lookout. All right.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know.
Where?
We're going right there.
That's good. To use data flow to connect to the data sources instead of the Power BI desktop.
Great question. So the question was, is it best practice or is it a good idea to use data flows to connect to the data source instead of using directly inside a Power BI desktop connecting to the data source. So use data flows as the intermediary and then pull that into Power BI desktop. It depends.
My stickers are now the official currency of the day.
Kevin's in the chat keeping track also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got Kevin. Kevin's there.
Drink.
Oh, God.
Hey, Patrick finally cracked.
Patrick's drinking.
You're a couple behind.
I'm telling
Thirsty, man. I'm getting thirsty.
By the way, John, also, good beer.
Yeah, good beer. Good beer.
Why don't you have one? You brought them. I'm just
Come on.
keep going.
No,
Keep going.
you can have one. So, data flows versus no data flows.
No data flows?
Well, meaning like using Power BI Desktop directly versus using data flows as the intermediary. So, I would go back and start wondering, like, what's your actual goal? So, I wouldn't do it just to do it, right? So, there should be some reason as to why we're doing that. Is there a real reason to centralize that for some reason? Like, it's going to be reused over multiple Power BI Desktop files? Then I would start looking at maybe a data flow or data marts or something like that to help centralize that for reuse in other items. If you just want to, use it because it's shiny and you want to give it a whirl, you can. I don't know that I would. So part of that depends also. Some of it's also going to depend on the data source involved, and so what's actually supported in data flows versus Power BI Desktop. How can I refresh it? Because now you're dealing with the cloud service, so there's other things that could come into play there that you maybe don't have to deal with at first using Power BI Desktop directly.
So I'll give you another version that from my personal experience, where you don't want to give everybody access to the original data source, right? If there's a data source that only a few people have rights to go off and pull from, and there's a very specific schedule that you're allowed to go off and hit that data source, right? And now you want to be able to give access to that data to multiple other data sets that people can go off and connect to. Let that happen on a scheduled basis where you've trimmed the data down. Like you have an author who has crafted that data flow, and the output, that shape of data is specific, but maybe the source has a lot more sensitivity to it, right? That you don't want to give everybody access to. HR data is a great example of this, like people data, where the data source has everything, but you want to be able to give people that access. And like, here's the information that you're allowed to have. I've done this in the past, and it worked really, really well. And that way, people could connect up to the data flow and hit it all day long. They were good to go. They could refresh from that. But we only refresh that data source from that data source once a week. But if they want to go hit it and they think something else is happening, they can hit the data flow, no problem. But they're never going to harm, number one, the original data source from a pull perspective, because we pulled massive amounts of data only once a week, did it at a specific time. But also now it's a specific, smaller shape of data.
That is a great
All right,
answer.
before we ask the next question, I'm going to take a break to thank our sponsors, myself, and Chris Wagner. I'm going to give you reason number 2 why you should have been here at the Power Platform Conference. I have Power BI socks. Woohoo! And I can't really throw these very well because they have a lot of drag.
They're also bifocal t-shirts.
We'll do some more too. Oh, and we've got t-shirts. Just throw them.
They're sizes. So
all right. We've got bifocal shirts. We can try throwing the mouse pads too, but that could potentially hurt someone.
We have the old school socks too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes. I might hit somebody in the face with socks.
Will Thompson is denied by the beam in the ceiling. Will Thompson is asking, can we throw one to Denmark?
No, but we can drink beer.
Will, it depends. If the person in the back of the room is named Denmark.
Let's go with the front of the room, dude. Let's make it approachable.
Yeah. All right.
I just tried to throw one. It won't go very
far. All right,
far.
question. We'll go there.
Yeah, I love what data marts doing with data modeling.
Yeah.
However,
Oh yeah, we have to drink, by the way.
in the past with data architect, data engineer, developer, that sort of thing. It's data marts threatening the integrity.
They're getting closer, by the way.
Is it threatening the integrity?
Or is it threatening, or is it enhancing?
So the question was about data marts, and is data marts? I'll be honest. I was half listening because I was enamored by people getting closer for the socks.
Specifically, we're talking about the Power BI data marts feature.
Yes. Data marts. Not did I say data flows or data marts?
I know you said it right, but
I
was
said
just
data
making
marts.
sure. Like, I didn't want someone watching online thinking that we were just talking about data marts as a general statement. Specifically, the Power BI data marts feature.
So for data marts, and the question was like, is it enhancing the experience? Is it threatening the experience?
Yeah, with Star Scheme, I mean, there typically be a team of data modelers, on a BI team, and now we're allowing a single person, maybe a data analyst, assistant developer, to go model data.
Got it. So we talk about star schemas, we talk about correct modeling best practices, and now we threw this data marts thing out there, and the citizen developer, and they can just go wild with their data. And I will tell you, people right now in Power BI Desktop are not doing the right things with their data models. So throwing data marts out there doesn't change that situation at all. So not worried about that.
I think about data marts though in a different way. So you have all this data, and he just said it. He made me. I wrote it down, so I wasn't texting anyone. I was writing down what Jason just said.
That's not true. I got a text from you just like a second ago saying how handsome I am.
You are handsome, but it was, to me, that was mind bending what he just said, because I always think about I always have access to all the data, right? Because I work with Contoso and AdventureWorks, right? I have access to every dimension in fact, or I'm going to go get some data, and I have full access to it. But that's not true. Right? That's not true. That's not the real world. That's not how things work in the real world, especially HR and finance information like that. And so if you think about data marts that way though, right? And so we build these ginormous data warehouses, these big lake houses and things like that, but everyone cannot have access to all the data. So just like the data flow, right? I create this data flow, so you may have access to this set of data, but I'm going to create this data flow because you don't have access to this. Now you can consume it. Same thing with the data mart, So even though we have a very large mesh of data out there, every single person in the organization won't have access to that. And so I create this data mart for the HR department because they should see how much everybody makes, everybody's social security number, all that information. That's what the data mart is for. It's to complement your data. It's a data mart. Think about, if you look up the definition of a data mart, right? Think about what a data mart is. It's a piece of the data warehouse, or it's the beginnings of the data warehouse, right? And so that's what I think about the data mart. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
all right.
It's more like a comment on the data marts.
Yeah.
So I found a good implementation of it just recently, where our HR team needed to look at the HR cube we had deployed now as a services.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I started looking at it, I found that I needed to permission every single potential person in analysis services to be able to read that data in the report. And that wasn't feasible.
Nope.
So I recreated inside the HR Insights workspace the cube inside the data mart with all the measures and everything. And that way, since it's governed by a security group of membership, it's just automatic.
So just a piece. It's complementing. It's not. It could be a disruptor. It could be.
So hang on.
Also, wait. Chris Wagner's saying you should not be putting social security numbers in your data marts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's probably that's it. But I'm curious. Have you ever met a data architect who's like got way too much time on their hands?
Yeah.
This is designed, like the data marts feature is personally, I think it's fantastic. I'm a big fan, but it's also not meant to be massive. This is meant to be like, and Charles Webb talked about it in his overflowing session in this room yesterday. Like, they were talking about the size, like there are documented size limitations. They talked about the fact that they're going to increase that over time, but it's never going to be petabytes of data in the data marts feature. Right?
Yeah, no,
so
that's not what it's for.
That's ultimately a data architect can help improve that experience over time for people, but this feature is not threatening people's jobs, in my personal opinion.
So the other thing is, for data marts, the way I look at it is it's more about providing access to the business users. So in a lot of enterprise organizations or larger organizations that lock down Azure, they can't just go and spin up an Azure SQL database, right? So there's a lot of red tape there. It takes a lot of time to get that going. And so data marts provides that quick access for them to spin this up quickly to be able to use it and do something beyond what maybe their what else they're using,
I think
like
you got-
Excel or SharePoint
I
lists.
think you got 3 data mart lovers up here, man. I think you do.
Well, so the other thing is data marts is really geared towards like the line of business or a specific group, and not like the large data warehouse or the organization. That's where you're going to start looking at Azure Synapse or something of that nature that's larger scale.
You have questions here?
There are questions.
Pick one.
All right. What is the Michelle said, what's the best reason to use the service principal versus my credentials to connect?
Don't choose your my credentials.
So please don't. So using your credentials is fraught with a couple of problems. One is if you put in your own stored credentials into the data source, and then people are potentially refreshing, or let's say it's direct query, and you put in your credential and you're not using single sign-on. Now everyone that hits that report and is direct querying to the data source is now being looked at as you.
Yeah.
And that's a potential problem. And then the service principal or service account is really geared towards automation or autonomy in terms of it's just that it's a service, right? So it's on behalf of, so you know what that is and you can control it. And so it's a better way to manage it from an enterprise perspective or business approach. As opposed to the individual user, and Steve, you mentioned also they could leave the organization too, and then what happens? We have to update the password. Maybe you're using multi-factor authentication, which becomes problematic in some cases, especially if you're trying to do automation. Service principals are great for that perspective. So I don't know. Do you have other thoughts?
That's spot on.
This lady's had her hand up for
All
a really
right,
long time.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Is there an easy way? I inherited a Power BI.
Mhm.
So is there an easy way to see what measures or columns are not being used?
So the question was, is there an easy way to figure out what measures or columns are not being used in my model? Yes.
Delete them and see what breaks.
Yes. Oh
Sorry.
my God.
Don't do that. Sorry.
So there's several
tools.
there's tools that are out there. So there's like Power BI Documentor is
Power BI
one.
Helper.
Which one?
Power BI Helper.
Power BI Helper. Blanking off the top of my head. What?
Power BI Field Finder.
Power BI Field Finder.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
And
so
then-
let me caveat this a little bit. This is Kevin. This is not an it depends. There are tools to do this, but the challenge is when you're looking at if your scope is just the data model, you're basically saying what am I not referencing from like a measure perspective or whatever. What you don't have context in that perspective is, well, is the report actually using it? Some of these tools will actually go through and look at the report itself tied to the data set inside of the Power BI desktop file and then highlight, okay, well, this field's not being used in this report. But what about when you publish that data set and other reports start using that data set, you don't have that context.
Yeah.
And so that's where you need to start looking at the lineage tools that are in Power BI and see what other reports are connected to this. If it's just that one, then okay, you're pretty confident that that's what it is. But if there's multiple reports hitting this, I don't know.
Well, in most cases, it's just one. It's my report.
Okay.
Everyone else is using
Yeah, in that case, you'd be fine with these tools and they would help you.
I think so. I'm about to say something that's. I think when you're designing your data model, you need to take a very minimalistic approach to designing that data model. A lot of people just go, I'm going to use all the columns and all the tables. But I take the opposite approach. I'm going to use exactly what I need to answer those questions, okay? So I use the exact columns that I need to answer those questions. Now, do I have to, will I need to add another column in the future? Maybe, but my model is lean, mean, and it's ready to go, right? At all times. And so I can refresh it fast. There's no overhead. There's no unnecessary columns. Go ahead and say something.
Patrick, you saw me. I'm like,
I can hear you in my peripherals.
I like nice.
I can hear you in my peripherals.
I like nice models. I don't like mean models.
Okay. So it's not going to be an ugly baby though, right? My model is going to be nice and it's going to be cute. And so just if you take that approach at the beginning, adopt that as a best practice, it can help minimize that work. Red shirt.
I heard Patrick likes cute models. That's what I heard.
You were saying a bit earlier,
Yeah.
Patrick, when you were talking about HR, I work for Indian, so we have a lot of different departments, such as housekeeping, we've got food and beverage, we've got security.
It's not gonna
Would
work.
data mart be a good solution for HR to distribute that data to specific departments so that they have access to their own people?
Yes.
Rather than having access to everything?
But you can, yes,
They already
yeah.
have access to the data
So would if I have HR data and I need to segment out that HR data so each department can see information about their people. So could be, but I'm thinking different on that though, because I think the data mart adds a level of complexity. So I think data marts are great, but could we just do row level security? Could we just, so first, I'll keep it as simple. I try to keep it as simple as I possibly can whenever I'm doing anything. So the easiest thing is, let's just do row level security. If that doesn't work, because row level security can get complicated.
So, did you repeat the question?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Someone in the chat said, can you repeat the question?
I repeated the question. I repeated the question. I feel so much pressure about who should I pick next. I'm so sorry.
That lady over there.
Okay, lady in the yellow.
Yeah.
All right, Jason picks the question.
Okay, yeah.
That way, no pressure on us.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is someone back there is next.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no, he wants the shirt.
Publish data sets.
So we have, say, like 6 departments.
Yeah.
They all have a Power BI report with a published data set, published report.
Yep.
I need to make a report using maybe 2 fields from each of those reports that are calculated, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. So I would rather connect to the data set that they publish, knowing that our data is the same, it's coming from the
Yes.
same place, it'll mirror, I don't need to recreate
Yes.
what they've done.
Yes.
Because it's Excel, but the problem is, when I connect and then build my report and then publish it, anyone who wants to see my report needs permissions to all those other data.
All those data sets.
So how do you?
You don't. So the problem is I create a shared data set. There's shared data sets out there. I build a report based on multiple data sets, and I want to give these 2 guys access to my report, but I need to also give them access to all of the data sets. Is that the question?
So you can do that for like 100.
I just want to make sure that's the question.
That's, yes.
Okay, go.
Yeah, I think so.
I saw your hand there.
So, security group.
But still, you got to give that security group access to all those.
You have to
data
give the
sets.
security group access
to all the data sets.
to all of those data sets, but then you can just add people into that, and they become a view. Like you said, it as a viewer, right?
I thought we fixed this.
But they at that point, when you add them to the security group, you don't have to add them manually each time. If the security group is a viewer on those data sets, you do it the one time, and then you can add and remove people from that security group.
Do you add it to the report or to the workspace?
You got to do it to both. You got to give them access to the report and to the multiple data sets. But I thought this was fixed.
But the report's one
composite
report, is
models?
what you said.
Yeah, I thought we fixed the whole data set permission problem.
You still need the rights.
Wow.
Because hang on. So the reason that you need these permissions, so it's an explicit direction. So we want to reduce the accidental sharing of data.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you have to explicitly provide those permissions. So you have to take the intentional action that, yes, I want to make this available in that scenario. Otherwise, you could inadvertently, as by creating the composite model, if Power BI were to just say, oh, you want to reference this data set, we're just going to go allow that for everyone in this situation. Well, that may not be what you really want, or what like your IT governance and all of that really wants. So you have to explicitly say, I'm allowing this.
And this is actually a good experience compared to what Adam would prefer, which is Kerberos.
So in doing that, would that give them permissions to all those other reports?
It would give them permission to the data sets, not the reports. And so there's a situation where you can look at that point of how are you actually laying out your reports and data sets, and then maybe work on segregation of those to prevent access to certain things. So there's things you need to think about there. But yes, it can get complicated, especially if you have many data sets that are involved. Couldn't hear that.
Can't hear you.
So the question was, can you push the data to the report level so the backend data stays secured? Where those permissions are already assigned. So
that sounds like data duplication to me, and I would avoid it.
So you create another data set. Yeah.
It's an option.
Yeah, it's not a good one, but it is an option.
So centralize the data. So basically create a data warehouse. Right, so take all those disparate data sources that you're individually giving people access to, create a central repository for all the Excels, all the SharePoint lists and everything, pipe it into one place, and then appropriately assign the permissions to that data set.
Kevin in the chat is saying Premium now supports just having read. I don't know if it's in the same context of what, but he's saying Composite is different still in Pro versus Premium. Pro needs build to all linked data sets. Premium does not. So in your situation, is it Pro or Premium?
That's what I thought.
It's Premium?
I thought so.
Sorry, yes, Premium?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought we fixed this. I thought this was fixed.
All right.
Only in Premium, though.
Yeah, but they're on Premium, so... So if you're seeing that, maybe a support case, then? I'd have to go back and look at the blog to verify, so off the top of my head, I don't know.
I thought this was fixed.
But Kevin's saying it, Steve's saying, multiple people are saying that that's been fixed.
I think I did figure a while ago, and then they said they fixed it, because originally everyone needed build access.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
No
you shouldn't
build.
need that.
No build.
Just view.
So, but, so
Yeah,
if
Pro.
you're using Pro, you still need build.
Yeah.
No, we have premium.
Right, for Premium,
So, and
the,
then they said, oh, it's
the crowdsourcing is saying, no, you don't, so...
Gentleman in the purple shirt here has.
Okay, it's a good follow-on to that. So I've got all my access to my data sets and my reports all, and I want to publish the app. What extra value am I getting by having audiences?
Oh, audiences.
Repeat the question.
I didn't hear the question. I heard audiences.
So he's done all.
And then I pricked up. So I was looking at the chat. I was like,
Well, the question was, I've got all my access set up for my data sets and my reports.
Ah.
I want to publish the app, and I'm not sure what extra value.
okay. So the question was, is I've already set up my permissions for my data sets and my reports. And so what's the value of setting up audiences in an app? And so there's typically the way I approach it, or the way I think about it, is the number of users that are accessing my content. So apps are meant for large distribution of content. And so in that scenario, and by large, and people commented this on the video because I said it, and I said users over, like if you have over like 10 users, I would start thinking about an app for distribution of the content. And then someone said that 10 is not large. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. It's large in the context of how many
digits, man.
Yeah, I know, we're double
Insane.
digits.
That's a
Come on,
big
we're big
number.
time. So in that scenario, where I would do it is not give those users direct access to the workspace. I would start looking at, they're just consuming content. So then use the audience approach and allow those permissions from that to access the report content. In your case, you're saying that you've given permissions to data sets and reports. So in that case, you're saying they're accessing that content outside of the app.
Well, no, I'm using the app to deliver the content.
Okay.
I just had set it up. I thought I could do this before an audience existed.
Got it. Yeah.
Given access rights to the workspace.
Got it. Okay, so before the audience piece existed, we just gave access to that so they could use it. So the other thing to know is if they are like a member or a user within the workspace, so either a viewer, member, contributor, or admin, they will automatically have access to the content in the app and they see everything. So audiences is basically ignored in that context. And so you may have to go back now that audiences are available. You may have to go back and rethink, like, should I tweak that a little bit to just accommodate and segment out specific content that's in the workspace and leverage audiences. And if you don't care, then you can just leave it as is.
So,
If I give access at the audience level, I don't need to.
Correct. So if you want audiences,
Say that. Say what he just
said. Yeah. So the comment that was made was if I give them access at the audience level, I don't need to give access at the workspace level. That's correct. But if you do give access at the workspace level, the audiences are effectively ignored, and they see everything. And they will see all audiences.
That's good.
And that's in the video that's coming out tomorrow, by the way.
sneak peek. Gotta love it. All right, hang on. This gentleman over here had a question.
All right.
Oh.
When we get proper page what?
So when we get page level security? When will we get page level security?
It's not on the public roadmap.
No, any public roadmap. If you go back and watch Ignite,
John caught that.
If you go back on and watch Ignite a while ago,
Yes, it was teased.
Amanda did a demo where she had this page navigator, but
and I'm still waiting.
yeah, but when I went and watched it though, I went and watched the video and I
What?
replicated what she did. It's not really security. because it's just hiding.
It's so it's not security, it's obfuscation.
Right? And so
obfuscation.
And so you can hide the page.
Smoke and
you can
mirrors.
Do it, right?
Smoke
you
and
can
mirrors.
do it through page navigation. But
a
the
big
problem
word.
is if I get the link to that page, I can override that security. So I don't know of anything on the roadmap for that.
I don't either.
Sorry.
So I will say ideas.powerbi.com. Vote it up. Now, so one thing I will say, in the video I did for the app experience, and this is also in the video tomorrow.
It's plugging that video, man.
There were, you're not going to have to watch the video tomorrow because, so please watch the video because I don't want Patrick to come at me and see, nobody's watching your videos now. It's like, well, because I gave it all away. But there were so many comments in there that related around your point of page navigation or the concept in the audiences of, well, I can hide reports in the audiences, but I just want to hide a page in the audience controlled by an access list. And that's just not a feature today. So if that is something you want, please go to ideas.powerbi.com. I'm sure it exists there and vote it up. Yes. I'm not aware of it being in the roadmap. So
all right, so I think we have time for at least one more question, but not many more than that.
Thank you. I wasn't watching the clock.
I'm hungry. The lady in the peach back here with the mask.
How would you get startups to buy into using Power BI?
I missed the.
How would you get buy-in to start using
Startups
Power BI?
Startup companies to use Power BI. Well, I mean, is there a use case? Is there something that they need? Is there something you can deliver? Is there some value you can deliver from Power BI?
I'm very interested in the fact that you defined it to startup companies. So
maybe that's what she works with.
So a startup, I would think it's a few people, right? It's not. We're not talking like a, 100,000 employees, and so what? So I would ask, like, what are you using today for analytics? Trying to move away from Looker. Okay, I was worried you were about to say, well, they're trying to get away from analytics. If they're getting away from Looker, I would start with, if you're passionate about Power BI and you're in that context, someone needs to go do like a POC of sorts, like proof of concept, like try it, show it, explain that there's value here. Like they need to, my thing is every time someone sees Power BI with their data, it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. My mind is blown. Like, you can do that?
They won't even consider it because it seems antiquated in their mind compared to everything else. They'll look at every other tool.
Wow.
So I'm going to give you an alternative answer. There's this thing called startups.microsoft.com.
Ooh.
I would check that out. I do not know if Power BI is included in whatever they're doing, but I know we have something that is specifically for startups. And I know that in some cases there are credits that small businesses can get as well. Like you have to talk to some of the field reps on that one. But I know there are programs out there. So if you're trying to get started with something like that, walking in the door and going, hey, I've already gotten Microsoft who's got like this program. Can we take a look at that? And by the way, the reason why I want to do that is because this Power BI thing is really amazing, and you should invest some money in that because that'd be good
That's
too.
great.
So,
I think we have time for one more.
Yes, and it was this lady up front who's been recording us the whole time.
Wait, you're YouTube?
That's what I called her earlier.
I'm new to Power BI.
Yep.
I'm not new to the industry. I've been doing this for over 20 years, but I've been working on everything you said this morning, T-SQL, et cetera, et cetera. So, do you guys recommend? I've only been using or trying to look at Power BI, and actually you guys were the first YouTube video that I saw. Somebody recommended it.
Nice. We were the first YouTube video for her.
Ooh,
on Power BI. Nice.
When I got here, I didn't know anybody, so I know you guys.
Yes, she knew us. She didn't know anyone at the conference. Amazing. And now you know everyone in this room.
I'm a SAP, BO, IBM, well, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So do you guys recommend reverse engineering? If you already have something big, like in the data warehouse, you have already data marks. So now I want to extract that data mark from that data warehouse and put it into Power BI. Is there something that you would recommend? Or have you guys ever done that?
So I'm gonna
instead of starting from scratch.
So I'm gonna say my part, and then I'm gonna let Jason and Patrick jump in. So
didn't hear the
my
question.
my part is Wait, yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Can I repeat the question? I was waiting to hear you say it. I was so busy listening, like glowing how much she was complimenting you, and like,
all right,
I'm sitting here just thinking they're never going to be able to repeat the question. That's what I'm sitting here doing the whole time.
You guys,
hang on.
I love you guys.
Hang on. So I think I had the question. So your question is, look, you've got some old stuff in the business now. Everyone's using it. There's a lot of usage of it. Like, do we just like replicate all of that over to Power BI? Right? Do we recommend that? So.
And then we hear Patrick saying minimalistic. Well, it's been over. We're maximalistic.
Yes. Maximalistic versus minimalistic. So I'm going to say my part, and then I will let Patrick and Jason provide a response. My response is going to be, it depends. Okay, go.
I'm sorry. I'm going to pull his. I wasn't listening to him talk. No, I'm just kidding. So
you didn't drink
because you have to encourage me for that. So my answer would be, as much as you can, start to leave the old where it is. Okay, don't try and redo like what you have there. Leave it be, and I'll wait. Is it spam risk? Because they've been looking for me. Okay. Oh, that's a cutie. Oh, it's a baby with a mustache.
I see that.
Yeah, I love it.
Right.
So my answer for you is, leave the old where it is. And I tell people this about SharePoint migration stuff as well. Leave things as they were. Start building new stuff. Do not let people build anything new in the old.
20 years to build that.
Okay? Start building the new stuff in the new place. Okay? So start to go that route, and as you bring on new data sources, you start doing new stuff, you're moving to the new world. Don't try, like, whatever's there, how much of it do you actually need to move? How much of it is something that is still being utilized, right? So you're going to start to see, well, these are the things that people are asking for now. Start to move them over. Okay? As they're like, hey, I want to improve upon this report. Cool. We're not going to touch the old. We're going to build that one over in Power BI. We're going to start to move these things from the old world to the new world. That's the way that I deal with it.
I agree.
Oh my gosh.
I do. I absolutely agree. Start from where you are right now. That stuff's there. It's hard to get people to stop using Excel. I'm just using Excel as an example.
We're not using Excel.
I'm just using it, right? Because everybody uses Excel. It's hard to say, no more Excel. No more Excel. You can't do that. We're going to start, what Jason said, we're going to start right there, start building great, new, beautiful content, and just keep moving forward. Maybe at some point, we can start migrating some of that stuff, but you got to show them the new stuff first.
Do you know what's going to happen? You're going to build all the cool new stuff, and people are going to come along and go, why does that look like that? I want this. I want the way it looks for the new. Can you take and rebuild my old garbagey thing and make it new and shiny, please? Because that's what I want. And then instead of pushing people and getting behind them like, you have to go over to this new place, they're going to come to you and ask. They're going to want that new stuff.
Yep.
You're not going to have to ask them, hey, we need to move you. No.
All right.
You just get them to rebuild new. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yep. And also,
We're
I will
over
point
time,
you
and I'm
to.
hungry.
Yeah. So I will point you to also, if you go to docs.powerbi.com, there's a guidance section area, and there's a whole section there on migration. And so take a look at that. There's some thoughts around like maybe how to approach things if you do want to migrate, and like maybe how to do it in chunks and maybe not all at once, and that's where the it depends comes in. So take time and maybe review that as well.
Okay.
All right.
We've got to give these away. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Alex, so courtesy of Alex Powers, this is great. I really like what he just wrote. So is there anyone here for their first conference? Stand up.
Ooh.
Stand up. Stand up.
Lots of folks.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
And maybe you're here by yourself. If you're not here by yourself, sit down. If you're not here by yourself, all right, this is great. This is great. This is great.
Oh, so we're narrowing down who to give out these things to.
Yes. And you paid for this out of your own pocket.
Ooh. Whoa.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And you're here by yourself.
Yeah. And you don't have a workshop booked for Friday yet.
And you don't have a workshop booked for Friday.
I'm traveling Friday. So.
Okay, so you're...
Who's traveling Friday? Oh, you're here. Are you here Friday?
We're looking at you. We're looking at you.
We're talking to you, YouTube. It's
YouTube. Are you here on Friday?
Okay, but which one should I go?
can tell you mine.
Power BI. Power BI.
There you go.
Awesome.
But I know how to do dashboards already. No, I want this.
All right. So that was great, Alex. Thank you. So the choice was dashboard in a day, and the other one was what?
Masterclass. Power
Masterclass.
Apps, Is there anybody else?
Wait. Before you do that, so she looked at the dashboard in a day. She's like, no. I know how to use dashboards.
It's like build a dashboard. It's the day
After that.
After dashboard in a day.
That lets you into day after dashboard in a day?
Yes.
Oh, that's bananas.
Yeah, she's coming.
All right. I'm excited.
She's gonna record the whole thing.
Yeah, she's going to record the whole thing. Excellent. We'll see you tomorrow.
Who else is here on Friday? So I don't know. Stand up.
Stand up.
Who's
Who's going to be here on Friday?
Alex, what do you got?
Who's interested in a masterclass on Power Apps? Let's start with that.
I don't know what to do. I'm okay. We're shutting a few people down.
To no code. You have no background in IT or technology.
Oh, if you don't work in IT.
Career switcher.
Oh, that was a question. He said that. Out of your own.
This is really exciting for our YouTube audience right now. We appreciate you if you're still here. And there's 114 people watching him not actually doing anything of interest to the audience.
So,
should we
Adam,
oi out? Or?
Pick a number between 1 and 100.
Write it down.
We got to write it down.
69.
Wait. Oh my goodness. Wait.
I got it. I got you.
Wait.
I don't have to.
So
I've got
Patrick told me that I have to pick a number between 1 and 100.
Yes.
And I have to write it down.
Yes.
I will clearly point out to you I have no pen and I have no paper.
Type it somewhere. Type it.
All right, hang on.
I got it. It's right here.
Wait, I got it.
Okay. And now, who's ever closest to this number?
Lower.
Oh, there's math involved. I'm out.
Equal to.
You can go over. You can go over. As long as you're close, right? You can go over. Let's see. It's only 5 people, right? You got your number.
Why are 113 of you still
Adam,
watching
you got your
this?
number.
I got a number. Ooh, yeah.
Go. 42.
Yep, that's spot on.
Legit. That was my number, and Just Play said it in the chat too. By the way.
All right.
It is the answer to life, universe, and everything.
No. Wait, you thought I was born in the year 1942? I was. What?
How much have you had to drink?
Wow. All right.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, YouTube audience. We love y'all. We do not have a live stream on Saturday, so I will be on a plane. So we'll see y'all next time.
Just don't knock. Just don't knock the don't knock the table.
Yeah, man.
Is it a power?
Oh yeah.
Jason,
Great guys, awesome.